Welcome to the Small Business Show. My name is Swire from Garuda Promo. My guest today is MiShawn Williams, wine consultant from Vino Read the Wine Life. How are you doing, MiShawn?
I am doing really great, Swire. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on your show.
Great. I think you're the one of the best networkers that I know in real life. And I know that you're always going out there networking and talking to people. But I know that before wine consultant, you actually work in the entertainment industry in advertising. How did you make that transition from entertainment to a wine consultant?
That is interesting time. Actually, it was not expected, but I can tell you this, that in the advertising industry, there's plenty of drinking. So, that is actually I credit the advertising industry with helping me fine tune and start to appreciate wine, because we had really nice wines at dinner. But at some point in that career, things definitely started to change around 2008, when there's a lot of different things happening with the world and financial crises and everything. And so a lot of business slowed down. And so, to be honest, it wasn't a conscious choice. The wine industry I just fell into it after developing a love of wine and traveling up to Sonoma and tasting wine. I started to look to see what could the wine industry, what does it have to offer as far as a career. So that's kind of how I fell into it. And I'm so glad I did, by the way. It's the best thing ever.
Great. So wanted to ask you more about, finding a target audience. So obviously when we drink wine, with different types of people, different mentality, right? For me, I would just go to see whatever on sale, or I have a coupon, I'll buy it. But then also there are people that are very specific when they choose wine, and they work with you as a wine consultant. So how do you find the right client? How can you tell if they need your service, or they're just trying to find whatever alcohol that's available?
Yeah, well, yes, that's a great question. It's true. I typically, if I'm working with someone, so one of the things I do is in person, when we were doing in person, but now all online wine tasting. So one of the things I ask someone is always, are they, a wine novice, a wine enthusiast, or a wine collector? So that just kind of gives me a gauge of where, their guests might be. And so what that means is, like, if you're a wine novice, maybe you're, again, just starting to dabble in wine, you're more comfortable with the grocery store wines that are maybe, $10, $12 or so, $15 or so. Enthusiasts might be people who, go out and do tastings on their own. They might be more, willing to try a $15 to $20 wine. And of course, collectors are people who are definitely familiar with wine, know about wine, know what they like, and collect. And so you're right. First thing I'll say is that when I'm speaking about wine with people, whether it's socially or in a business setting, most people are interested in that topic. They want to know more about it. So it really helps me to start to ask questions of them. And that's how I start to develop my clients, just more generically, more, authentically, organically. It's because the conversation about wine is one that people are interested in, and they want to ask me questions. In turn, I can ask them questions more about what do they like, where do they get wine? Do they ever go tasting? And that's how I can start to determine, do they need my services? Do they work for a company that might need my services? Or do they just want some recommendations, on the fly, like right there? And I can certainly help with that.
Okay. Yeah, I want to also ask you about networking too. I've been into a networking event with you. So we went in, and then as time goes on, people gather around you because of all your advice. So any tips that you wanted to share on networking? Like how do you go into a business networking setting to bring up a good conversation so people will start asking you and talk to you about wine?
Well, first of all, I'm always going to have wine, a glass of wine in my hand, right? So that's, one thing. So as soon as, I can always open a conversation if they're drinking something as well, and ask what they are drinking. And then we start talking about the topic of wine, or, just, what do people like, or how do you get into it? It just becomes a big topic. And so, it makes it easier to have those kind of conversations. And again, it's a very natural conversation to have.
But again, I think wine business, there's a lot of competition. Obviously the market is big, but then
Right.
I'm sure that there are online retailers, there retailers, and that discount wine.
Yeah.
So how would you find the market that you're in? How do you really identify and go after your target audience?
So, a lot of it is it's just a lot of it is just, again, speaking with people. Like it really, really is. So my target audience, there is a range. Mostly, and how I started was just people who enjoyed wine. That was it. So
Mhm.
it just became a conversation starter. At this stage, probably I'm doing a lot more corporate events, corporate tasting. So at that point, how I find people is really, businesses who might want to do gift giving, businesses who want to stay connected to their guests and clients. So the wines that I represent, they're not in a store. Most of them are not in stores. So they are exclusive, and they usually can just be found through, me. So that also helps me limit just, what I can offer. What I offer is limited, but exclusive in that way. So it's not necessarily grocery store, not so much that they're not grocery store wines, but I mean, they aren't, but my target market is probably going to come to me partly because they're not wines that would be in a grocery store. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the concept for a power partner, or some people call it a referral partner? Because I know that you belong to different networking organizations. You're able to find those people. Can you tell us the concept?
Yeah, so power partners really work well because we are people who probably have the same target market, or we have the same groups of people who would use our products or services. So for example, I have worked well with event planners because they're planning a wedding or a special occasion, and they need a bottle of wine, or they need a custom label bottle of wine. Other event planners are corporate planners, and they're planning, executive retreats, or they're planning client appreciation events or prospecting events. They want to bring their clients together to appreciate them, or to just kind of have some relationship building. And so, it's great to have people that you can partner with and actually go after the same business and just complement each other's services. So that's my event planner. I've had work with, DJs. I've had work with, florists maybe. So those would be.
So basically, the idea is, people that are not competing directly with you, but then you guys have the same target audience. So that will make a good power partner.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's really. I mean, so in our networking group, as you know, we have power teams. So we actually get together with all the power partners that could be together and work together to see, oh, I've got something coming up. Could I potentially recommend the florist? Could I potentially recommend the DJ? Could I potentially recommend, the cleaning service for the event cleaning service? So those kind of, power teams work really nicely together because we also come almost as a nice done for you package. So you have less to think about if you're the client.
Yeah, so I could imagine, when you're planning a wedding or a corporate event, then obviously a party can go on without some kind of wine or beverage.
Absolutely.
So that's, very nice to bring you in, and then maybe there's a DJ, and maybe there's a sound person, or maybe there's an MC.
Yeah.
So then you can put your own team, the whole power team can be on, different job, or, maybe sometimes it's the DJ that got contacted, and then, he or she bring the whole team along. So
That's right.
that's a good. How many of your business, if you don't mind me asking, that comes from your power team?
I have a lot of business that comes from not so much my power team, like here and there, yes, but as my whole networking referral group, a lot of business comes from my power referral partners. I have a lot of people who enjoy wine, so they might be part of the wine club that we have, the wine society, and certainly they're referring me to business when people are entertaining and they need wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you bring up a good concept, and I do want you to elaborate more on this. You talk about elegant appreciation, and then also up leveling the Zoom event experience. What does that mean, and how does that improve a business trying to put on an event?
Yeah, I think, I use the term elegant appreciation because I think so many businesses were constantly out to secure the business, right? Secure the job. All of us are. And the elegant appreciation, how that comes into play, we're all familiar with it. Of course, is maybe sending a thank you note or a thank you gift at the completion of a project, or even at the start of a project, to say thank you and congratulations, we're going to do this together. But it's just the act of really sending the message that I appreciate you. This is special to me. I want us to work together, but I want you to remember me. I want to be memorable. I want to stand out as, the vendor for you or the client for you that really helped, get you to the other side or help you, achieve your goals. So, and thank you to you for bringing me on to allow me to do that. So elegant appreciation is also, really delivering on whatever that appreciation is with a bang, delivering it so that whoever's receiving it really feels like, oh, wow, like this, like they feel that feeling of surprise, that feeling of like, oh, wow, this is unexpected and so delightful at the same time. So that's what I mean by that. And so wine sometimes can be like, oh, well, people just give wine, but there are wines that you can give that just blow people away. And it's everything from how it feels, how it looks, and certainly, of course, how it tastes. But there's all kinds of things that could be communicated when someone receives a bottle of wine that is something like they haven't seen before.
Okay.
That's the basic. That's the, wow. The wow.
And I would assume, too, you can also advise the client if they know, oh, this guy, he likes to eat steak, or, this group of, people that I know, they like seafood. So you could probably send them the wine that is specific to their liking.
Yes, we can, it's like if you know what they like, then sure. If you don't know what they like, if the client doesn't know what they like, I always point people to like, this is, these are the wines that make the impression. Like, what kind of impression do you want to make? And I can recommend based on, or the occasion. For example, is it a bottle of champagne, because they've got something big they want to celebrate. So there's a lot of things we can do just to make sure that you're giving something you feel really proud of, and also that the gift recipient will feel really good about too.
That's great. I thought about, when I go to the store, 25 days before Christmas in December, then you buy a chocolate, right? Every day you open up a chocolate. Oh, yeah. I could totally see that if you want, you send the person 25 bottles of wine all the way up to the Christmas. You're definitely going to make an impression. And if you're in sales, if you do that to some of your top 10 clients, guarantee that they're going to call you, they're going to email you, and build that relationship.
Absolutely. I have a client, a realtor client who, again, we do these custom label wines. And so every time he closes a deal for one of his clients, like he helps them buy a house, he does a custom label bottle of wine with the image of that home.
Wow.
On the label. So it's 12, you have to do 12 bottles when you do custom labels, a case. So he always ships them a case of their own, like custom label new home wine, so it's like their house wine. And then they can use that wine when they're entertaining for a housewarming, or when they just want to celebrate their new accomplishment, their new milestone. So absolutely.
That's very smart, because, I when I suggest, people ask me how much of a promotional product I should get, like what should be my budget. I'll tell them, depending on, how many, if you make $1 per transaction, you probably want something more economic. But then if you're selling a house, at least, we're talking about thousands, if not tens of thousands of money, a case of wine that's served a lot of purpose. So obviously your clients are happy, they're enjoying their house, and now they're drinking your wine. Or they're having a housewarming party, maybe people from the new neighbors, right? Or people that they know from the old neighborhood coming in, and they see your label, maybe they want to sell, or maybe they want to buy into the neighborhood. And then you can actually get your client to talk
Yep.
about you.
That's
All it takes is to
exactly
a
right.
bottle of wine.
That's exactly right. So I just love that you tapped into it, because that's exactly the thing. The wine is shareable and it's consumable. So people are going to take it with them. They're going to open that bottle of wine, usually with more than just themselves, right? They're typically not drinking, a case of wine at home by themselves. You know what I mean? They're sharing it, they're gifting it, they're going places with it, and it becomes a conversation piece for, not just that gift recipient, but as you said, the person who gave them that wine. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I think all that advertising, entertainment background do help because you have done it before. It's all about wine giving.
Yeah.
In entertainment, there's a lot of wine passing going on. So I think it works in a business. We got to think about when we give someone a gift, not just give them a gift, but then knowing that who they might have contact with and how they might be able to talk you up. Because if you send them a nice gift, whatever that might be, but it's relevant to them, they actually help you promote your business.
So true. And I also love what you said about, the gift, should match, what you received as the business person, right? And I read or heard somewhere that actually I read in a specific book about business gifting called Giftology, where the gentleman suggested it's 2% to 5% of what your commission was or what you earned from that job. It should be the value of the gift you give back.
For a realtor, then could be like, several cases of wine.
It could be. So, yeah. But 2%, yeah. It could be a case.
How about the up-leveling Zoom experience? What is that?
Well, so we're all on Zoom right now, and we're all, trying to find ways to stay connected and make it fun because we're here in front of our screens so often these days. But just up-leveling the Zoom experience for me might look like, again, bringing in the music correctly so that people can hear it properly. It might be just kind of weaving in some different elements and things that where people might actually be able to use their senses on the other side of the camera. So that might mean for me, and this is what I mean by senses. Wine for me is a multi-sensory experience. We're using our eyes, we're using our taste, so in our sense of touch in terms of the way the wine feels in your mouth, obviously what you're smelling. So there's a lot of pieces that are a part of the wine tasting experience. So sometimes if I'm doing an online tasting experience, I might send something in the mail, ahead of time to the guest, so they have something tactile, to feel, or something, to taste that might correlate to the wines that we're actually going to have in our glass for the actual experience. But in addition to that, of course, there's all the other, ambiance elements, which is the music, or if there's video, or just things that are not just a talking head experience with just me talking, right? So trying to bring in a little bit more so that people feel, like they're getting more well-rounded or, wholehearted experience of the wine tasting.
Yeah, I think we all been to a lot of Zoom meetings. I know people that go through like 6 Zoom meetings every day, and they look like zombies. Right? And then the last thing that we want to do is listen in as a webinar, where the person or the executive talk, and then 50 people just sit there and pretend that they're really focusing. I think what you can do is, I've been having a lot of conversation with our clients. Normally they have event gallery for if they're a nonprofit, or if it's a business, they usually book like a hotel room or a nice conference room to wine and dine, 100 people or sometimes 300 people. So normally they budget at least for, they spend 5 digits, sometimes a 6 digit. I've seen 7 digits before for a very nice elaborate party.
Wow.
They have the budget in there, but this year it's all the business industry is turning upside down. So we might not have those events around the holidays. But then what I would suggest to do is think about, all your employees, all the clients that you have. They might be stuck at home for 7 months already.
Yes.
So they like that interaction, and they like to mingle with their colleagues. And if you just do another webinar, you're going to lose a lot of people, right?
Absolutely. People are burned.
They might go there, but then their attention might not be there. Why not use the budget that you have and send them a care package, like a Dropbox? I think a wine would be very nice to do. Imagine if you send everyone a nice bottle of wine. They talk to you, send you a nice bottle of wine. Maybe they send you a glass or other items that you think is good for the client or the employees, and then you still have your CEO to talk the business. Let's raise a glass. Then you actually have the wine,
Yeah, yes.
right? You get everyone to participate, and then, like you said, you mix in with maybe a DJ, maybe other motivational speaking, or maybe you can mix in games in there, so you could still have a social distancing party, and you could still going to have fun. But
Yeah.
then you might have to think a little differently, like how you would normally host your events.
Totally. And I love that you mentioned the care package, Swire, because, I've been able to, actually use your services, which I appreciate, in, putting together a really special package with the wine, with, specific, customized wine glasses for the client and for their guests, wine opener, and just any other things can go in there, like, that are fun and that makes sense for that particular client. So I love that. I think, who doesn't love getting a real fun package in the mail that's, fun or colorful or, that's fun. I like that. So I know that helps us just feel more connected. It helps us feel like we're in this together and we still have a way to kind of share in experiences together.
Yeah, I think as a salesperson, that's a good tools to take advantage of too, because I've talked to some of them. They said, we don't want to call and just sell them. Like, you should never sell, right? But then they want to make an excuse to check in with their top 10 client and check in with people if they need to meet their quota in Q4, right? Sending them a care package, especially send them a nice bottle of wine, something that's relevant to them, will make sense. Imagine, that realtor, and you just send a case of wine to your client, which they didn't expect. I'm sure they're going to call you right away. And then if you send them something nice, they might post on their social media or talk about you and your business on the things platform they're influence on. So that actually help you create your advertising. They talk about you. Or maybe people that they do business with or colleagues might actually know more about your business. So then you follow up with a call, an email, so that actually can generate more business. If you do something, you think about what people are at home right now. What do they need? What are they looking for?
Yeah.
And I think what you do is fairly relevant because people are spending more time at home.
They're spending more time at home, so they're less worried about drinking and driving. That's one thing. The other thing too, Swire, is that even before COVID, I used to talk about the whole, wall of wine or the, overwhelmed wall of wine, and that, that overwhelm that comes from looking at that wall when you're in the store. And, this kind of being able to ship wine directly to someone's home, you're taking all kinds of you just releasing and easing so much of that overwhelm or around selecting the right wine too. So people are at home, so they are consuming more, but also, you don't want to stand in line at the, wall of wine overwhelm, because most people want to get in and out of the store these days. They don't necessarily want to sit there and look and wonder and be confused about that and wonder if they chose the right thing. So, shipping good wine to people is really appreciated right now.
Mm. So I know at the end, I wouldn't bring a wine consultant on without asking you for wine recommendations. So what would you suggest? Like, we're getting close to holiday season, maybe give us some gifting ideas and other maybe seasonal wine that you have available.
Yeah, well, that's really great. So in America, one of the holidays coming up, of course, is Thanksgiving. So some of the wines that are typical during that holiday and for that meal are going to be Pinot Noir, Pinot Noir, always good. And by the way, Pinot Noir is actually good anytime you go to someone's home for a dinner party and you don't know what they're serving. So Pinot Noir has some versatility there because it can go with a fish dish. I know a lot of times people think, oh, white wine with seafood, right? Red wine with like red meats and things. Pinot, because it is a thinner skin grape, it's a lighter bodied red wine, can actually straddle both spheres. So it can go with a white, a fish if you need to. It can go with a grilled chicken. It can go with, a lighter red meat kind of thing. I wouldn't say nothing like too heavy on the red meat, like a grilled thing, but it can kind of work. So that's one thing I would suggest for sure for your upcoming holidays, Pinot throughout the holidays. Champagne, or we would do a Cremant, so a sparkling wine is always good. It doesn't have to be just a celebration, but that surprisingly pairs with a lot of different meals just across the board. But also it is very holiday, it's sparkly, it's celebratory. So sparkling wine right now is always a good bet. Sparkling wine or champagne. And also I would say, for our palates, red wine blends are typically a very good go-to because they're very easy to drink. People just love them. Again, very drinkable. They're very, Tuesday night friendly. You don't have to have them with a great meal. You can have a red wine blend with a pizza or burger, or no food at all. So those are always great go-tos. And then lastly, I would say again, not so much holiday season, but a rosé, a dry rosé is also going to go well with your Thanksgiving meal, for example. So those are some of the wines that I would say are good go-tos during this time of the year.
Okay, great. So MiShawn, if people wanted to reach out and find you and learn more about your services, so what's the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach me, honestly, is I guess email is a good way, but my website is vinovie.com, VINOVIE.com, and contact form and everything is right there.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on today, MiShawn. Great advice there. I'm sure that people can learn, more about wine going to your website. Thank you so much again for coming on today.
Thank you, Swire. Really appreciate it. It's been fun talking to you.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.